We like to think intelligence protects us from bad decisions, that smart people, in groups, will reach smarter conclusions. That reason, multiplied, equals wisdom. But that's not how it works. In reality, the opposite often happens. The more intelligent the group, the more spectacular the failure. The 2008 financial crisis, the Challenger explosion, the Bay of Pigs invasion. These weren't the mistakes of fools. They were engineered by some of the brightest, most credentialed minds in the room. So what went wrong? The answer is disturbingly simple. Groupthink, a psychological glitch where the desire for harmony or social survival overrides critical thinking, where consensus becomes more important than correctness. It's not just a political problem or a corporate one. It's human. And understanding how it works might be one of the most important steps in avoiding your own worst decisions. Let's start with the illusion of safety in numbers. Being in a group feels safe. It spreads responsibility. It affirms that you're not crazy, that others share your thoughts, your views, your instincts. But this comfort comes at a cost. When everyone agrees, we stop asking hard questions. We don't want to be the one to break the flow. We don't want to appear difficult or worse, disloyal. So we nod, even if something feels off. Psychologists call it pluralistic ignorance. When everyone privately doubts something but assumes everyone else believes it, so no one speaks up. Silence masquerades as consensus. Doubt is buried. And the illusion grows stronger. But here's the thing. The smarter the group, the more this dynamic intensifies. Because smart people are often socially aware. They can read the room, and they don't want to rock the boat, especially in high-status environments where dissent can cost you reputation, relationships, even your job. So intelligence doesn't immunize against groupthink. It can actually make it worse. Because when your identity is tied to being one of the smart ones, the stakes for speaking out feel even higher. Next, let's talk about belonging. Humans are tribal. We want to be part of something. And the fear of exclusion, of being the outsider, is so deeply wired that we often betray our own logic just to stay inside the circle. In a group setting, especially one that values unity or urgency, the pressure to conform can be subtle but overwhelming. It's not always shouted. Sometimes it's just a pause after you speak, a shift in body language, a glance that says, "Are you really going to be that person?" That moment, so small, is often enough to silence a warning. This is how good people make bad calls, not because they lack intelligence, but because they outsource their judgment in order to maintain connection. And sometimes, connection feels more important than truth. Groupthink also thrives in environments of urgency. When a decision feels high stakes, when there's pressure to act fast, critical thinking becomes a liability. It slows things down, raises inconvenient doubts. So leaders suppress dissent. They frame questioning as negativity. They reward agreement with inclusion. Before long, the group isn't solving problems. It's just reinforcing assumptions. The echo chamber becomes the decision-making model. And bad ideas gain momentum, not because they're persuasive, but because no one wants to be the one to stop clapping first. But here's the most unsettling part. You won't know you're in a groupthink spiral until it's too late. Because from the inside, everything feels aligned. The reasoning sounds airtight. Everyone agrees. The mood is confident. The plan is in motion. And then, impact. So how do we resist this? It starts with reframing dissent, not as disloyalty, but as duty. A good group doesn't avoid conflict. It designs for it. It makes space for the awkward, the skeptical, the inconvenient. In a healthy culture, the person who disagrees isn't sidelined. They're elevated, asked to explain, pressed for details. Because disagreement isn't a threat. It's a form of insurance. Second, anonymity can save you from politeness. When people can voice concerns without risking identity, the truth has a better shot at surfacing. Whistleblowers, anonymous feedback, confidential voting. These aren't bureaucratic tools, they're psychological pressure valves. They allow honesty without punishment. Third, assign a devil's advocate, but not symbolically. Give them power. Give them time. Make it their role to challenge assumptions, not just as an intellectual exercise, but as a structural safeguard. Smart groups bake in skepticism. They don't outsource it to hindsight. And finally, ask this question regularly. What are we missing? Not rhetorically, not as a performative nod to balance. Genuinely ask, what blind spots are we protecting? What truths feel too uncomfortable to say out loud? What incentives are silently shaping our decisions? Because groupthink doesn't begin with stupidity. It begins with silence, with one person deciding not to raise their hand, with a room full of brilliant minds choosing not to challenge each other because harmony felt safer than honesty. And that's the trap. It's not that smart people become dumb in groups. It's that groups, left unchecked, can turn intelligence into a performance rather than a process. And when performance replaces truth, even the best minds will walk off a cliff together.